All right, back to the robot. That's right, everybody, back to the robot. What's up, everybody? Okay, so a couple of things I wanted to talk to about first is, if you notice up there my sub count, it says 36,900, and yesterday it said 36,070 something. Like, well, this morning it did 970. I mean, so but today they implemented the rounding thing. So if you have an account that has 1,000 subs, it rounds to the nearest 10. If you have 10,000, it rounds to the nearest 100. If you have, and then it keeps going like that. Nearest 1,000 if you have 100,000, that kind of thing. So I was kind of nervous. I was like, wow, man, 70 people just bailed. But it turns out it's their new rounding method, all right? If you're one of the people that looks up there at the screen. Hello, everybody. Paisley Dream, Sooner History, Sugarloaf, Notorious Nance, Carol, Look at the Flowers. I haven't got to that part yet, again. Che O'Neill and the Philadelphia Union are now my second favorite team. Okay, apparently Cairo will never watch my show again if I... So, yes, they're my second favorite. Yay, Philadelphia Union, all right. Good for them. Oh, you know what? I get to turn down this. Oh, wow, look at that. I just realized all of those audio boosters that I put in were at, like, maximum, so everything was really loud. I should get something that makes it look like I'm going like this. So right now I'm just moving the camera, but it looks like... Okay, forget it. That looked a little weird, actually, to be honest with you. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about right at the beginning was I think a really irresponsible video that's going around, but everybody's really excited about it. So what the person did, they have a big YouTube channel. They're good with graphics and so forth. And I don't know if it was really an attempt to, I don't know what it is, what he was trying to accomplish, but he took the new sketch in the Delphi case, and then he converted it to an actual human being looking character with real eyebrows, eye color, all that stuff. Okay? But everybody's like, oh, wow, okay. Do you guys realize how ludicrous this is? The sketch itself doesn't look exactly like anybody. And we don't know what color, any of the other elements are, what his real eyebrows would look like. So now people are looking at this image thinking, wow, that looks just like a real person. Whoa. And it's going to be, watch, you're going to see side-by-sides on Facebook pages where they put a person next to that, and it's ludicrous, okay? It's no better than when people put glasses on the bridge guy. Look at putting glasses on the sketch of the bridge guy is also insane, because that's just a sketch. That's all it is, everybody. I don't know how to explain it. If you guys think it's really helpful information to have somebody take a sketch and colorize it and put real eyes and eyebrows and a whole face and a whole hair set, if you think that that's worthwhile, I'm sorry, because it just isn't. It's an absolute joke. Now, he's got good skills putting that all together, but it's not right. I don't know what he's doing. It's just taking the sketch and then turning it into, hey, Woods Girl. They took the sketch and turned it into an actual picture with eye color and everything. And you just can't do that. I mean, you can technically do it, but if it's absolutely, well, yeah, hopefully you know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, hopefully you agree. If you don't, that's cool too. But I'll think less of you. That's so mean, Gray. What do you mean? Can't we have our own opinion? Yeah, you can think whatever the hell you want, but I'm telling you, it's dumb. Okay. Really? Wow. Why would they question somebody just off of a video? So the guy makes a video and it looks like somebody. I can't. And then somebody. Okay, so somebody sent a tip in, but they didn't say, "Well, gosh, there's this YouTuber who made this video and it looked like this guy." Yeah. See, that's crazy. Oh, someone in the family. Oh, I know who it is then. There you go. That's right. Yeah, so if you didn't hear what I just said, there's a guy that took the new sketch that was put out in the Delphi case, colorized it, put skin in there, put the eye color that they thought maybe it was. They put a hair set that kind of looked like it, and when it was all done, it looked like a real person. But you're basing it on a sketch that doesn't look like. It's a representation of what a person might look like. All right. Now it's possible that his little picture looks just like the guy. Okay. It's just possible. I have to concede that it's possible, but it's not what you should be doing. Okay, because it's. The odds of it looking exactly the same are 1 in a million, because you even have Carter out there telling people, well, it's kind of a combination of the two. So shouldn't he have done one of those programs where you take both sketches, you morph it together, then draw the image, right? Then you'd have a guy with maybe like a goatee, a slightly bulbous nose, maybe look like he's 34 instead of 45 and 20. No, it was colored. They actually did took sample photo objects and placed it in there. It's wild. All right. So those are the two things I wanted to say right off the bat there. That the sub count will remain at 900 until it actually gets to 37,000. They've changed that up. I kind of like being able to see the little number in there, though. And then don't pay attention to colorized sketches. All right, there you go. And not even just colorized, humanized sketches. I mean, it's a good job. The human that he made looks just like the sketch. So there was this story that came out today. Let me switch over to the other screen so you can see it. There was bodies of 3 women found in a car submerged in Robeson County. So North Carolina, that's the same county that Lumberton's in, but it looks like it's just an accident. And you can look at these pictures here. Let's see, where is that? I think I have a better link. Yeah, well, there's a dam at this lake, and it appears that there was no street there. There's no road at all, and they just ran right into the water right here. So this is Maxton Pond Dam, and apparently, I think it's right over here. And even if you look at that, it sort of appears that water on this satellite image is running over the road there, right? Kind of reminds you of that one case where the road was under the water, and then the girl drove down there, and then she died of hypothermia, apparently. And I don't think they've still found that car, which is really kind of strange, don't you think? That they still haven't found that vehicle. At least they hadn't even like 2 weeks ago. So it looks like there's water coming over there, and there is street view at a different time of year. But apparently this dam is broken down now. It's not there anymore. So there's just this gap where there's just water there. And apparently they didn't see it or whatever and just flew into the water, and they recovered all 3 of the girls. So it sucks. But at first they didn't know, but then they came out with a report. So for those of you out there that had followed it, it turns out it looks like it was just an accident at this point. But at least you have it in your mind in case something changes. All right. Okay, so that's really all there is on that story. That was just a quick one. And here's there's also an update on Patrick Frazee. So perplexed out there, you're going to have an out because you're going to say, well, they didn't do it because, Here's the thing: is Patrick Frazee has ran out of time to offer up a counter suspect in the case. So if Patrick Frazee was ever going to implicate Crystal Kenny, I think is their name, right? Yeah, Crystal Kenny. He's not going to do it. So there isn't going to be another suspect offered up at trial. So that means that he knows that she didn't do it as well. I mean, it's pretty obvious at that point. I don't know what Robert Lindsay's doing. I don't really follow him at all. Yeah. So Patrick Frazee is going to be going on trial, and he will just be, you won't have any alternate theories or anything like that. It's just going to be the state versus the evidence they have against him. And it says right here, the deadline for Patrick Frazee's attorney to name an alternate suspect in the Kelsey Barrett murder has passed. The mother was last seen on Thanksgiving Day, 2018. I mean, we covered that case on this channel a lot. Barrett's remains have not been found, but investigators do not believe she is alive. Well, of course not. Police arrested Frazee in December 2018 of murder charges. All right. So there you go. That's the update on Frazee. He did not offer up a alternate, I guess you could say, suspect in the case, and he will not be able to argue that in court, which, man, I think that was probably his best option, right? He could have tried to sell that Crystal Kenny did it, but I think what they know for sure is that she wasn't there because of her cell phone ping information. So to me, it's really obvious that she didn't do it. So Perplex will be owing me $100 at some point. Except she'll claim, well, they didn't go against her, so we'll never know. Okay, come on. What case are you talking about, Jules? There's no way in hell she staged her own death or attacked him and he panicked. None of that stuff happened. He went there to kill her, as he had planned numerous other times, where Crystal Kenny didn't follow through on those occasions. This is just another one of those wacko, psycho guys out there, really, to be honest with you. Yeah, well, he could try something, but the problem is there's so much blood. What did Kelsey Barrett do? Cut herself in the arm and start flinging her arms around the house, and then and then he went over and went, whoa, 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 wow, this is weird, and then cleaned it up after she left because maybe he wanted to make her house clean for her to come back. Yeah, I don't think so. I think the blood evidence alone is absolutely enough to, I mean, he's toast. And Crystal Kenny's testimony about how they burnt the suitcase or whatever it was with their body in it, I think it's going to be pretty obvious. Yeah, I'm just reading some of the comments right now. Yep, he's going to be going down. That's for damn sure. I always called him... I don't even remember. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. I see. Oh, my God. I got a donation from Cairo because I am now...
the only channel with the cat eyes hashtag Hughes got them cat eyes.
All right, thank you. Plus, I think it was really because I said that they're my second favorite team. Be honest, Cairo, right? That I said that the Philadelphia Union is my second favorite team. Now, what would I get if I said they're my favorite team? Well, you wouldn't believe me, so nothing. Okay. All right, here we go. Now we're going to move on to the, well, what else do I have here? Oh, yeah, we do have some information on Mitrice Richardson. Sorry about that. I was looking at something else. You guys remember this case, right? They had a press conference today, and it didn't really settle anything. It's really kind of just about how poor the police acted in that case. Let's see if I can find it. There it is, Mitrice. So you guys remember this. She was over here. This is Mitrice Richardson, African-American woman. She was at the Jeffrey's restaurant on September 16th, 2009 at 8:49, but she was acting really strange at dinner. Very odd, actually. So, and then she sort of thought people were buying her food or something, and then she was leaving, and then but everyone liked her. They thought she was fun and everything. But then they called the police because they thought there was something wrong with her mentally. And then the police got there, and they arrested her. And they drove her all the way up to this police station right here. Take a look at the front door there. So it's the Lost Hills Sheriff Station. All right. So she's taken there, and she's there for a while. Her mom calls. And I mean, her mom, I think, called at one point and kind of wanted them to keep her there. I think we've heard these calls at one point. But the police just, even though she had no purse, she had no car, no cell phone, or any money, they just put her out on the street. And she went missing. Absolutely went missing. Nobody had a clue where she was. The mother got there and was like, "What happened? What do you mean? What do you mean?" However, there was some sightings the next morning. Well, when she was released, it was actually after midnight, like 12:30, let's say. So when she was released from the jail here, it was after midnight. And then that same morning, she's spotted. So if you look at this, it's really not that far in reality, but she's right here, and then she's spotted down in this area. It's only a little over 4 miles down here as a crow flies. So if I take this and measure this from that station down into this area, it's 4.28 miles, so let's say 6. So let's say she walked down this way, maybe even hitchhiked at one point, who knows. All the way down here, maybe cut over like this. And apparently somebody in this area saw her. There was somebody else that saw her at 7:30 a.m. And after that, she absolutely just went missing and wasn't spotted for a long time. As a matter of fact, let's see, it was... let me just make sure I got the date. So it was September 16th, 2009 is when she went missing. And the 17th, she was spotted early in the morning. Then in August 9th, 2010, they found her body up here, way up in this canyon here. But they found her belt here, her bra there, her jeans there. And I could see a scenario where she got lost. It got really cold. I mean, September isn't that warm when you're up in the mountains. So she got cold. Maybe the paradoxical and undressing happened. Who knows? Or maybe she was even dressed, but if you look at this, it looks like water rushes down here. So there could be a time where it was pouring there, and water rushed down, and just the force of the water over time washed some of the clothing off. I don't know. Anyways, they found her basically nude up there, way up in this canyon. And when the police got there, they actually removed the body before the coroner got there to do his investigation. They just removed it and said, and their excuse is really lame. It sounds like this. Well, we weren't sure if we could find it again the next day. Really? Have you heard of GPS coordinates? I mean, you guys are law enforcement, right? Well, we just didn't think we could, find it again. I mean, that's got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Or we didn't think we could protect the site overnight. Well, what do you mean? It was there for over a year and nobody saw it. So, I don't know. Something went awfully wrong there. And here's listen to this part here. I don't know if it was the same year or after that, the mom and family members went up there to, as like a memorial, to be there. And while they were there, they found one of her fingers, the bones of her fingers. I mean, so when you guys were up there and removing the body, didn't you take extra care to make sure you got everything? But they actually found one of her fingers up there. So you guys, you dropped the ball. And that's really kind of what this is about. So what I'll do is I'll play her psychologist, who's really a huge advocate. I think it's because she's a doctor, more articulate than her mom. She doesn't, or just not as nervous, you know what I mean? Like she's really, she's really out there all the time. So, hold on, so let me get this. Let me get this map set up correctly here. Just want to check something. So if it rained up here, you'd have water going down in all directions, not just from that one ravine. There's two of them. One, I mean, actually more than that. This is almost like sky chutes, right? You got 1, 2, 3, and then it would just funnel down here and have a pretty roaring amount of water, you know, just a ton. And look at these are all up on this ridge here, these homes here. So, all right, here we go. I'm gonna make this full screen though. And I'm gonna move it forward till we get to the. All right, here we go. I might have to turn it up if it's too low though.
Are you ready?
Tell me if you can hear her well when she's speaking.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Dr. Rhonda Hampton.
I'll turn it up.
My name is Dr. Rhonda Hampton. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and Mitrice Richardson was my former intern and dear friend. As you know, in 2009, she was at a restaurant and acting in a bizarre manner. And as a result of her behavior, the staff at the restaurant did call the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department with the idea that they
I
were
turned it
going
up.
to get her some help. Instead of Mitrice being taken in for a psychological evaluation, she was arrested. She was taken to the Lost Hills Station where we are today. Unfortunately, Mitrice was released in a compromised mental state and with no means of caring for herself because she did not have a phone, a car, money, or any means of securing her safety. 11 months after her disappearance, her naked, skeletal, partially mummified remains.
Yeah, I think they did say that they were going to keep her there, but I guess they couldn't because she can choose to leave herself. And here's what's lame is they've changed their policy now to, well, if we'll hold them, but if they want us to. Well, isn't that this defeat the whole point? That didn't fix anything. She left because she wanted to. Okay, the whole thing is if you see somebody with you believe, deemed compromised mental state, then you need to hold them until sunlight and a normal hour. You don't just let a young woman after midnight just walk out the door who has no purse, no ID, absolutely nothing. Okay, you guys are ludicrous that you did that.
Were found in the area of Montanito. It's been 10 years and we still have no answers as to what happened to Mitrice Richardson. It has been a very, very, very long 10 years. I would say that every day many of us wake up and think about ways in which we could fight for justice for her and ways in which we could find out what happened to her. Under the I'm going to say this. I know that you are all aware that there have been many reports that there was no wrongdoing in what happened to Mitrice on the day that she was arrested.
Yes, I know, Richard. I know how it works. They already released her, but they didn't keep her, is what I'm trying to say. She chose to leave. They shouldn't have it like that. Okay? They shouldn't have it where they go, well, they shouldn't have released her, is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? They should have kept her overnight because she had no car, no cell phone, no ID, no nothing. All right? We all get how it works. We know how it works. I'm just saying what I think how they should have done it.
And how she was treated throughout the investigation. And that starts with the internal affairs from the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, who cleared everyone involved in Mitrice's incident of any wrongdoing. That includes the district attorney under the direction of Jackie Lacey, who cleared the officers of any wrongdoing.
Look who she mentions here.
The Office of Independent Review, and that includes former Attorney General Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, ooh.
And I will tell you this. I am here today because, yes, I want to find out what happened to Mitrice. Yes, I want to find out what happened to Mitrice. But if we allow 10 more years to go by and we don't acknowledge that what happened to her was wrong, then what is going to happen is those officers who arrested her when they knew she was suffering from a mental health crisis, and those officers who chose to remove her body against the orders of the coroners, and the captain who chose to remove the video of Mitrice while she was at the station and lied about it. If we allow that...
Yeah, so they removed the video too, the surveillance footage that they had of her at the station, and they said, well, because there was other, people that were arrested, and we didn't want their faces out there. Well, couldn't you have just kept the video then and just taken the time and blurred out their faces like every other person does out in the world?
To stand, if we allow that to be okay.
Thanks, Jim's
then we
Tools.
are telling these officers that it is okay to violate policy, it is okay to violate procedures, and more important, we're telling them that they can continue to role model for the officers after them to continue to break the law and to continue to violate policies and procedures, and it will be okay. And I'm here today because that needs to stop. So even if Mitrice's case is not solved, her case needs to be investigated because it needs to be said that what happened to her was wrong. And I don't give a damn about what the DA said or the Attorney General said or the Internal Affairs said. I don't care what anybody says because common sense says you do not release a young woman or anybody in the middle of the night with no means of caring for themselves.
That's
right.
right.
You do not hide a video and lie to the public about it. You do not remove remains so that her case cannot be thoroughly investigated. That does not happen. And not only that, you do not disregard the family who are fighting for her. This is about lost compassion. And what we need to do, what needs to happen is these officers need to learn that while you are upholding the law, you can do so in a way that shows compassion. I want to thank Sheriff Alex Villanueva for being here today. I did organize this event because I wanted us to be here today on the place where she was last seen, so that we could put out some flowers, so that we could feel her presence and get a renewed strength to continue to fight with her. So when I asked him, of course, I was a little afraid he was going to say no because previous administrations had nothing to say to me. So I thank him for being here today. Yeah. I thank Mayor Jefferson Wagner from Malibu for being here today. He did not have to be here today. It was a very difficult time 10 years ago for us in the city of Malibu, and it's nice to see how things have turned around. So I appreciate you being here today. Chief Nelson, I appreciate him being here today, and I just appreciate everybody who has continued to follow Mitrice's case. And everybody who has continued to report on Mitrice's case. I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, it is. I wonder if she feels a little bit responsible because she's a psychologist and she worked for her.
I would like to introduce
Or was an
Mayor
intern, I
Wagner now.
guess.
All right, how about Alex Villanueva? Would you like to come up? Thank you.
Yep, that was a little me in the corner there.
Thank you, Rhonda, for those heartfelt words. And your pain is our pain. Your loss is our loss.
I think he's a new sheriff.
Malibu, all of Los Angeles County. And in 10 years, we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot that
See, listen to there.
care,
Listen to this.
and we have to care in ways that previously we didn't think about it, particularly when it comes to the mentally ill. Because what they go through on a daily basis, those of us, and with all our faculties available to us, we take it for granted. The decisions we make that can compromise our safety and put us in awkward situations, dangerous situations. And when someone is in our custody, then we owe that to them and to their families to make sure that they're not in harm's way. And a lot of policies have changed as a result of this case in particular. And now we have a safe harboring for someone who can be legally released. We've cleared that hurdle now, so the person can voluntarily remain within our custody for a period of up to 16 hours so that they're released in broad day.
But see, that's ludicrous, right? You should make it. They're forced to. Okay, in especially circumstances like that. They don't have their ID. They don't have anything. I mean, what you should do is make it where the officer, when you release them, maybe a patrolman drives them to their vehicle that you took them from. Okay, you literally took them from her vehicle that was like 8 or 9 miles away at that point. Hell, I don't, maybe even more than that. Let me look at this. Yeah, it's gonna be more than that. Let's just do as a crow flies and then add about 40%. That's 8.37. I would say 12-mile drive at least. So why not drive her back to her vehicle since you took her from the vehicle? I mean, didn't anybody there have common sense where you actually realize that, oh, wow, she has no way of getting anywhere and identifying herself or paying for anything that she might need to do? Apparently not.
Daylight, and we have the ability to then, so they can communicate with a family member, so we have someone who can transport them back to the safe place.
I would say forget, like he's just saying, oh, wow, we're just going to allow them to stay here, and how about you make it so they have to get a hold of another person, and then that person can get I mean, I guess, there might be some people that don't have that, but for those people that can be picked up, they'll be held until that person is picked up. For the other ones, they're held until daylight time, maybe 8 or 9 in the morning, where they can go out, and now they're in the world where weird shit doesn't happen. It just seems like there's a lot more common sense that needs to be implemented. This little fix they have here isn't a fix at all, because Mitrice probably would have said, oh, I'm out of here, regardless, because of her mental state that she was in. So his whole thing about, I got to be more concerned with people, especially with the mental. Well, not really. You didn't seem like you did anything that would help that.
This is a far-flung location in terms of the rest of Los Angeles County, and also in other areas where it's just a dangerous place in the middle of the night to begin with. For example, at Central Regional Detention Facility, you don't want anybody walking out there at 3 in the morning. So these policies we've taken into account, we've changed them. We've changed policy in terms of the property that the inmates keep or the arresting deputy takes from the person in safeguards versus leaving him in the vehicle or at a location. So now the property in terms of cell phones, ID cards, credit cards, things that they use that we normally take for granted to be able to communicate and then to obtain transportation, those things we want to make sure anybody who leaves our custody has those. So these are things that we're doing. Our policies also in terms of missing persons and how we report them, that has also changed.
Whoa.
We take any report of a missing person from anyone at any time.
The heck was that?
There's no waiting period for how long. Because if it is your loved one who is missing, it's illogical to wait, X amount of time to then declare that the person is missing. So we're doing that. We also have crisis intervention training for all of our deputies in the field now. There's 32 hours of training. We're going through that. We have our mental evaluation teams, and now we are staffing up to 33 of these teams throughout Los Angeles County. So we're throwing a lot of resources.
Okay, that stuff might work.
We're still exploring new ways that we can serve the community, and particularly where our department's actions intersect with the mentally ill, and where they could be in a compromised situation or vulnerable. So we're going to work hard in that. And I want to introduce Chief Pat Nelson on the issue about investigation of missing person and in this case in particular.
Good afternoon. My name is Pat Nelson, Chief of Detectives for Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I'm going to speak very briefly on the procedures that are typically followed during an adult missing. We have just over 2,000 reported adult missings per year, averaging back for the last 5 years. And I believe in 2009, there was a little over 2,100 that were reported missing. Many of those adults are missing voluntarily. They've decided to lose contact with their family, friends, etc. Obviously, there are those few that aren't missing voluntarily and that ultimately have become victims of foul play. We have investigators that actually go through an extensive investigation into those that we believe may have become victims of foul play. And then typically, if any of those circumstances are borne out, then that case is assigned to our regular investigators that are assigned to homicide bureau. Clearly, in this case, we have yet to uncover any new information in the past several years. It's my understanding that the reward that was offered shortly after Mitrice's disappearance is still in effect, and even without that, we would urge anybody with any information, even if they believe it to be inconsequential, to contact the Sheriff's Office and Homicide Bureau and let them know that what they have. If there is any information that will allow us to continue the investigation, we will certainly...
So I think they think she died accidentally. Good chance of that, but they're not going to know.
It's kind of a misnomer to say reopened. Any of our homicide cases that are unsolved...
Homicide? You said homicide, though.
In this particular case, again, as I mentioned earlier, there's really no evidence...
Oh, that's right. He said there's no.
That would confirm that there was foul play.
So it's not a
However,
homicide.
if some information did come to light to change that, then the case would clearly continue. Yes?
Chief, will you be re-interviewing witnesses and other people who might have relevant information?
If there's somebody that has relevant information that can come forward, or if there's some indication that that witnesses were evasive or anything like that, we'll certainly look at that. That's one of the things we'll do when we review what's been done in the past. But I can't tell you that we're going to go out and re-interview people. Where does this
I'm going to switch it to here. That guy doesn't say anything.
We now have the MET teams. We have a different way of looking at 5150 incarcerations. So these advancements were brought forward in the last few years, and now we are seeing a very vibrant way of sheriff's deputies at grassroots level, boots on the ground, administering fair justice for people that are incapacitated by mental abilities. And that is what we've gained from Mitrice. It's important to remember what this all brought forward. It brought forward a new, fresh way of looking at our mental evaluation teams. Their participation, we're up to 37 teams. We never had that many before.
Yeah.
5150.
I actually think it's almost like lawsuit worthy, to be honest with you. I think it's such such bad malpractice, of police work. I mean, or whatever it is, whatever the system is, to just put a female, or anybody really, I don't care what sex you are, after midnight, with no phone, no car, no nothing, your clothes that you have on, and just let them go out the door without any sort of, well, hey, let us give you a ride back to your vehicle. Right? I mean, was her keys and everything in her car still? It just seems so overboard, poor decision making. Like absolutely careless people. Negligence.
Is no longer used so broadcast that way. It's a new way of looking at field work, and I thank the sheriff for that. And once again, the city of Malibu, Calabasas, and Gore stand behind their all the work on the sheriff's department and the advancements that they have made in the last 5 years. Thanks very much.
So, Dave, this is just an update then, not anything new. It's just updating the press.
I just-
On what the changes have been made at the sheriff's department, not reopening or changing what's happening.
I mean, I don't, when I say lawsuit, I don't know. I don't like everybody suing everybody all the time. It just, to me, it seems really poor. I mean, she has responsibility too, because when they let her go, she just walked away. Why didn't she say, hey, can I use your phone? Make a phone call, that kind of thing. Was it all because was she that mentally impaired? They actually said in this press conference that when they were talking to her, she was very polite, very articulate, very, she acted great. And when she left, she just left. I mean, why didn't she call somebody too, right? But at the same time, because they got her away from her vehicle, I think it's their responsibility to at least bring her back to where you got her from. You knew that her car was 10 miles away. How did you think she was going to get there with no car, no phone, no purse, no nothing? How did you think that was going to happen?
Right. From the policymakers, which are the
that it is okay to not 5150 someone when you send a letter. There is no way in hell.
Rhonda would like to wrap it up.
Yeah. I have a quick question.
Please.
Are you disappointed?
Yes, extremely disappointed. It seemed, Sheriff Villanueva, who I have much respect for, and I do acknowledge that there have been policy changes since the death and disappearance of Mitrice Richardson. I also have to acknowledge that he has an open door policy in a way I've never been able to go and sit down with a sheriff before. So I do want to say that, but yes, I'm disappointed. There is no way in hell that it is okay to release a woman in the middle of the night. No way that it's okay to hide a video and lie to the public about it. No way that it is okay to not 5150 someone when you send a letter to your captain saying, I know she was a ditz. They knew what was wrong with her. So I am extremely disappointed. I have been told over the years this is a clue-driven case, which basically means this. We sit on our ass until someone comes forward with information. And if no one does, then we're not going to do anything. That's all fine and good, except for the fact that there has been much information that has been brought to this station from me. People will call in tips, and they still sit on their ass, and they still don't investigate it. So yes, I'm disappointed, and I'm not going to let it go. I mean, I get the part that it's not a, homicide investigation or death investigations are never really closed. I understand that. But when he said at our memorial service last Saturday that there was going to be a new, fresh set of eyes, I expected that to look different than you looking at the OIR report under the direction of Michael Giannacco, who, by the way, was gotten rid of because of his unscrupulous behavior with the sheriff's department. So if you're getting a fresh set of eyes, it's like you look at that. You don't just accept what you read because somebody wrote it, particularly when you're working for a department that has been corrupt for the last 20 years. I want every single person who should have been interviewed in Mitrice's case re-interviewed, and that includes Tom Martin. And we need to know why the hell he hid that video in his desk the entire time. And you know what? Even if there isn't anything that can be done about that, I believe the sheriff needs to say, yes, it was wrong to hide a video in your desk. That is wrong. That way, no one else does it again. So I get that her case might not be solved by a fresh set of eyes, but we need him to say that what happened was wrong.
So you're talking about accountability.
Yes. Yes. So.
My name is Maxton.
Hello.
I had a question for you. I was personally disappointed because they did not say that they're going to have any new steps. I believe that was a show put on, another show that we've seen before.
I'm not quite sure what that was, but I'm going to find out.
What steps are going to put forward to help find her? I did not see anything.
And thank you, Mr. Weaver, who also has a son who's gone missing in this area. I have a nonprofit organization, and one of the things that I do at this point, as a result of Mitrice, is we work with families who have missing loved ones. So I'm currently working with them, and there's another family member here, Elaine Park is also missing. So I've worked with these families as a result of my work with Mitrice. So I'm not saying that her life was in vain, because it was not, but we can't allow for this to be okay. We can't allow for him to say that it was okay, even if you can't do anything administratively about it. I want list by list. Was this wrong? Was it wrong to hide the video? Yes or no? We know it was wrong. That's suppression of evidence. How many of us would be arrested for that? And thank you, Mr. Weaver, who also has a son who's gone missing in this area. I have a nonprofit organization, and one of the things that I do at this point, as a result of Mitrice, is we work with families who have missing loved ones. So I'm currently working with them, and there's another family member here, Elaine Park is also missing. So I've worked with these families as a result of my work with Mitrice. So I'm not saying that her life was in vain, because it was not, but we can't allow for this to be okay. We can't allow for him to say that it was okay, even if you can't do anything administratively about it. I want list by list. Was this wrong? Was it wrong to hide the video? Yes or no? We know it was wrong. That's suppression of evidence. How many of us would be arrested for that shit? That stuff. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, she's very pretty too. You see her out there. Images. But yeah, I think I have covered the Weaver disappearance. Isn't he the guy that disappeared up on that ridge with that graffiti on the top of that mountain, I think? I haven't heard of the Elaine Park one, so I might check that one out. All right. Well, that's the update. In a way, not really any update at all, except more frustration. I don't even think their changes that they made are, worth a damn, really. Doesn't seem like it's going to do anything. All right. Yeah, let me see the Weaver. Isn't that right over here? Yeah, Matthew Weaver, right? I think it's just right up in that. Yeah, right in the same area. Look at this crazy case here. Yeah, there's a whole different. We can go over that again another time. But they found his car way up here, just on this ludicrous dirt road at the top of this mountain. And they've never found him now. And there was this gate down here. I think it's right at the end of right there. I think there's even street view right here where you can. I thought there was, anyways. No, guess not. I think there used to be street view there, but somewhere around in here, there's a gate, and then he went up all the way up that road. I mean, look how crazy that is. In a vehicle, way up there, and then they find the car right there. Some people had heard sounds up there that night. I don't remember all the details of that one because that was a long time ago, but it's nuts. All right, so now I'm going to switch over to the other topics that you saw in the thumbnail there. A gated spur. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, that one's kind of creepy. All right, so there was a cold case from 1976. And let's see. Where the heck is this? Yeah, Virginia Beach, okay? So this is in Virginia Beach, and apparently they're going to be using DNA currently to figure out who the killer or who the victim is. And then maybe that would lead to a killer. All right, so here's the original articles. So there was an article today that came out, or last couple days anyways, mentioning this, and I found the original articles. And this one states, police are investigating a possible link between the deaths of a woman found floating headless and fingerless in Chesapeake Bay and that of a man whose decapitated fingerless body was found in a river near Pittsboro, North Carolina. Neither the woman whose unclothed body was found near the South Island of Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel on May 30th, or the man whose body was found March 31st in the Cape Fear River has been identified. Right, so let's see. Larry O'Hip, detective in the I don't know if it's Chalham County, North Carolina Sheriff's Department said the man's headless body was found wrapped in about 550 pounds of canvas. Wow, that's a ton. And clear plastic sheets, bound in chains and secured with a rope. Hipp said the clear plastic wrapping indicated the body may have been transported to the river. Pittsburgh is about 30 miles west of Raleigh and some 238 miles from Virginia Beach. The man's age was estimated to be between 25 and 35, Hipp said, and the victim is believed to have been about 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighed about 145 to 155 pounds. The woman found at Virginia Beach is believed to have been in her late 30s to late 40s and was about 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighed about 135 pounds. Both Buzzy and Hipp said no firm connection has been established between the two deaths, but Hipp said the main reason we're working together is the similarity of the homicides and additional information. He decided to reveal the nature of the additional information. He declined, the Virginia Beach body tied in a fetal position with a nylon rope found in a green plastic trash bag. So she was bound in fetal position, had no head or hands or fingers cut from the first, the main knuckle on, I think. So now I'm going to go. This is another article of just her. It didn't combine the two stories. I think this one was. This is the day after they found her floating there. Police say they believe a woman whose dismembered body was found in Chesapeake Bay Sunday was decapitated to avoid identification. Virginia Beach Police Detective Gary Van Auken said the woman was found by a fisherman about 7 a.m. Sunday morning near the first island of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. He said she was bound and wrapped in green trash bags. Police were unable to identify the woman Sunday, but said she was believed to be in her late 30s or early 40s, was about 5 feet 5, and weighed 135 pounds. Van Auken said the only identifying marks on the woman are an old 5.5-inch scar on the upper back of her right leg and a few moles. He said police believe both the women's head and fingers were cut off in an attempt to keep her from being identified. Van Auken, who is in charge of the case, said a check with Bay Tide and current experts indicate the woman could have been either thrown from a car on the bridge or from a boat out of the bay. Authorities said she had been dead for 48 hours or less. The Coast Guard picked up the woman's body after the fishermen notified authorities early Sunday. The body was taken to the state crime lab at Norfolk for an autopsy. Van Auken asked that anyone who might know the identity of the woman or the circumstances of her death contacted the detectives. And to this day, nobody's come forward. So you're looking at 24, just, 43 years, right? Crazy. It's nuts. And so here is the article from today. Cold case, police hope new DNA tests will reveal the identity of headless woman.
Any of your sidestep tests could finally provide the break that they've been looking for. Any of your side, Stephanie Harris is here with more on how you might be able to help them crack this case, Stephanie.
This is wavy.com. W-A-V-Y.
Figure out who the woman is found floating near the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. And the reason it's so tough, her head and fingers were cut off and never found. It was early one Sunday morning, May 30th, 1976. A couple out fishing on the Chesapeake Bay noticed two green garbage bags floating in the water. Suspicious, they called police, who pulled out the bags and found a woman's body inside. As gruesome as that is, it gets worse.
And her head and her fingers at the middle knuckles were severed and missing.
Someone wanted to make sure this victim wouldn't be identified. Back before DNA tests, police used dental records and fingerprints. 43 years later, they still know very little about her.
Where she came from, where she was going, where she was supposed to be.
They were able to determine she was 35 to 45 years old, about 5'5", 140 pounds, with a couple of red and brown moles on her neck, and this faint 5.5-inch scar running up the back of her right thigh. Detectives put that information out on radio and TV. They generated a lot of leads on missing persons.
The most notable missing person that was investigated was a newscaster from New York City named Carol Schneiderman. She went missing under suspicious circumstances.
Schneiderman was eventually ruled out, along with all of the women on this list.
That's a lot. So yeah, so it looks like they're going to be using some DNA. So let's go over this article here. Let's see. It was early on a Sunday morning, May 30th, 1976. A couple out fishing on the Chesapeake Bay noticed 2 green garbage bags floating in the water. Suspicious, they called police, who pulled out the bags and found a woman's body inside. As gruesome as this Virginia Beach detective Kevin Finelli said, it gets worse. Her head and her fingers at the middle knuckles were severed and missing. So, the main bigger knuckle, I think they're talking about, this knuckle right here, right in the middle. So right there. All of them cut off right here. I'm just giving you a visual that you really probably didn't even need, all right? Okay. Sorry about that. I'm sure you could picture what knuckle it was. Let's see. They were able to determine that she was 35 to 45 years old, about 5'5". She had a couple red and brown moles on her neck and a faint 5.5-inch scar running up the back of her right thigh. Detectives put that information out on radio and television. They generated a lot of leads on missing persons. The most notable missing person investigated was a newscaster they mentioned. Let's see. They learned that a cruise ship had gone through there at 2 a.m. the morning the victim was found. That could be a reason why nobody's come forward, because she came from a far distance. A new type of DNA profile will tell police about the victim's ethnicity and traits. And what's that one called? That one's from the Parabon Nanolabs, the phenotyping, right? Snapshot product they have. However, they're going to go straight to, I think, further than that. Let's see. The new DNA profile will tell police about the victim's ethnicity, traits, passed down generations to generations, things like eye and hair color. It may even be able to show them what her face might have looked like. So that's definitely, they're working with Parabon at that point. Once they gather all the information, they will upload it on the Family Tree DNA and GEDmatch websites. It compares the victim's DNA profile with all the other DNA profiles that they have in their system, and it will come up with if there is anything there with a family DNA relative, Finelli said. An autopsy showed the victim had given birth at least once. So that means she probably has a child out there. Somewhere out there, probably my age or a little older, maybe a son or daughter who never knew their mother, never knew why she didn't come back home or what happened to her. Finelli encourages anyone with a missing person in their past to submit their DNA to their websites. And even though the news is in the end won't be a happy story, it will bring closure to a very important question they have in their lives. So it sounds like they're at that point where they're going to be doing some DNA testing and figure out exactly who this person is. But one thing that I thought, there was a case that was nagging in the back of my mind. I go, haven't we heard this before? And there was another case. You guys remember the Lady of the Dunes, right? So you remember the Lady of the Dunes that we covered on here. This was 1974, so just 2 years prior, right? And if you remember, her hands were cut off and one of her forearms. And her head was almost cut off. So you sort of wonder, I mean, is that just what they were doing back then? Or is there a possibility, because this actually happened in Massachusetts, which I don't think is terribly far away from there. Well, it's not absolutely close, but Virginia's way down there, and then it's on the East Coast, let's put it that way. Yeah, so right there, and then Massachusetts. Yeah, so it's probably something like, I bet it's going to be like 600 miles or something. Yeah, probably 500-600 miles. So it did pop into my head. I was thinking, could this possibly be related? Now you guys remember that. So that's her body by those dunes, and she was missing her hands, and it looked like they said she was almost decapitated, but they're not sure if it was by the method she was strangled with or some other reason. Yeah, could have. They just don't. One arm was cut off at the forearm. It's weird how they word it. They say, well, one hand was missing and then one forearm. Well, it's not the same forearm that the hand was on, or you would have said that. So it's the other hand. So obviously the hand's missing too if the forearm's missing. Unless they left the hand sitting on the scene and just took the forearm. Yeah, it could be a tattoo, but that's just, another guess. We don't know. Yeah, so obviously in these cases, back then, everybody knew. I mean, it could be that more cases back then had things like this, right? You remember that one case we had with the little girl whose head was cut off? And then that's the one where the psychic took over and they sent the dress in to the psychic, and then it just disappeared. So the thing is back then, everybody knew that people were identified with fingerprints. So you'd have to realize, though, that both of these people must have already they were known to have had contact and been arrested by police at some point. Because that's really the only way you'd have fingerprints. Or I guess military or something like that. But in general, you would have fingerprints at the police. So the killers of these people realize that. Now, there might be other reasons where you might take off fingers if you've been scratched. But actually, that would be more recent, when people knew about DNA. See, a lot of these, that's why they're arresting so many people now, is because killers back in, prior to 1990, they didn't give a crap about leaving semen or being scratched or anything like that, because nobody was even talking about DNA. But now, everybody knows about that. So you would think that the killers are probably being a little bit more careful about leaving their DNA anywhere. Even killers who know they've never been arrested before. So somebody like John Miller, April Tinsley's killer, in today, knowing about genealogy, never would have left those extra condoms sitting around on those bikes that remember that? He left notes and used condoms on bikes. And it led right back to John Miller. But he didn't know he knew that his DNA wasn't in the system, so he just was laughing. Until genealogy kicked in. All right? Yeah, I know. That's what I said. There's no DNA back then. I mean, there was DNA. They didn't, use it for anything. And maybe didn't even call it anything at that point. So back then, the only way you would try to hide somebody would probably be to cut their fingertips off and that kind of thing. Yeah, all right. So I was just kind of wondering, I guess it's probably not very likely related, but it reminded me of that case. Yeah, that's what they do. The police just surveil these killers, and then when they use anything, they step outside and have a drink of water, or drink out of a bottle, go to a restaurant. They're there to get the plate and take it away, the fork and whatnot, to get the DNA. Yep, so many missing. All right, well, I think that's about it for there's a Melissa Pesky update, but it's really just a $10,000 award. I think it should probably say reward, not award. Offered in case of mom shot dead on road trip with kids. And you don't say award, do you? It should be reward. It's been 9 months since Melissa was murdered. The Missouri State Highway Patrol tweeted on Friday referencing the unsolved Melissa Pesky case. Through fundraising efforts, her family and friends are now offering $10,000. Reward. Here. Okay, now it says reward. Pesky was driving on I-70 near Boonesville, Missouri, with her 2 children on December 18th when she was shot and killed on that highway. The highway patrol said, actually. Initially, investigators thought that the mother was in a single-car crash, but further investigation, including an autopsy, indicate that the victim died of a gunshot wound from a weapon fired from outside the vehicle. Yep. And we've covered this case pretty extensively, actually, over the months. And even had a lot of really cool, interesting interviews with a friend of hers who stated that her husband, who I guess was over in the Middle East fighting, came back. He's a soldier, and she was really scared of this guy. And she even told this friend that if I ever go missing from a gunshot, it will be, or you find me dead from a gunshot, it'll be from my husband. And she was really scared, got up the courage to leave the home, loaded her vehicle up with her children, and then drove, and she was hundreds of miles away from her home at the time. And then somebody drove right up next to her, I believe, and shot right through their passenger window, straight through to the other car, and that would be her driver's side. It's only about a 10-foot shot. Probably pulled a pistol out and went boom. And probably then hit the brakes, and then her car went off the side of the road, and I guess her sister was actually talking to her on the phone at the time. Isn't that insane? So her sister was on the phone with her when the gunshot happened. I guess apparently it just went quiet. I'd like to talk to the sister to see if she heard anything else. but the car veered across, went across the other side of the highway, and then into a ditch. And when the police got there, they thought, oh, wow, it's an accident. But in reality, when they found her, they saw that she was shot in the head. Yeah, so she lived here, and I think it's really far away. Let me see. Yeah, so I think she drove down from Sioux Falls like this, and then across. She was heading, I think, to North Carolina, if I remember right, to escape. And then she was shot driving this direction, and then her car veered across and then went over here. So it went through the medium and then over on this side like that. And what I think happened was that, let's say she's driving in a, let's see, let me get a lot of trucks on this highway here, isn't there? So she's probably driving in this lane like this, right? And then a car pulls up to her just to the side like this, rolls down their passenger window and just aims a pistol. It's so simple, everybody. Everyone goes, oh, wow, that'd be a tough... No, it's not at all. Just drive stably and slowly. It could even be that there was two passengers. I mean a passenger as well. Two people in the car. But you just drive by, pull down the window, aim through, and go boom, right through. And the bullet would probably go back slightly of where you aimed, just from the wind hitting it just for that little bit of time, but barely. And she was shot, I guess, behind the left temple. And that makes sense too, right? Because she's driving straight ahead, and then she's shot from the side because the person, that would be a miracle shot, somebody with a rifle, to shoot perpendicular to the car from some far distance. And what do you think the odds are that she's escaping for her life from a guy who she said, if I die from a gunshot, it'll be my husband? What do you think the odds are that on that very trip where she's escaping, that she's shot by some random dude on some weird road rage incident? I think it's 1 in a billion. Yeah. I don't think it'd take a lot of training at all to shoot through a I think it's that he did, whatever it is, his friends or anything. But I think even somebody that just has some gun training could shoot through it. You just hold the handle, the steering wheel still, look out the window, point it, and go boom. It just isn't really. It's not even wouldn't take a lot of skill to do that shot. I don't agree at all. But I think the husband has military training, and then maybe any friends that he might have got to do that might have that too. But I think anybody could do that shot. No, I don't think so. I don't agree, Michelle. Next time you're driving in your car, do it when there's no car there. Pretend you have a gun in your hand, roll down a window, and hold it there. It's simple. Okay? You're just trying to add sort of, more intrigue to it. It's really not that difficult. Don't try it, though, okay? Don't say, hey, Jim, drive next to me and I'll shoot you with a blank. Yeah, it's straight as an arrow. It's like 20 miles of, look at that. Ridiculous. Perfect place to have done that, too. You pull up on her. You start driving slowly, catching up to her. You're in the passing lane. She's probably in the slower lane. Hell, she may have been just driving a little bit slower, and then she pulled over because you were driving quicker. But then as soon as you pull up, you slow down a little bit, roll down the windows, keep it steady, just aim, bam. Just Jim, huh? All right. Yeah, if you're going around a curve, forget it. Yeah, then you probably need some wacky military training or something. But just try it sometime. Just driving your vehicle, hold the handle with your left hand, look out the right window, and just raise your hand as if you have a gun in it. But try to do that when there's nobody actually directly to the right of you, so they don't freak out. Yeah, and he didn't. That's right. He didn't. He definitely wasn't excited about having the son that he had, and he sort of used his kids against her a lot. Yeah, I don't agree with you, Michelle. It doesn't matter if you have forensic training at all. Okay, you always everywhere you go, you bring up your forensic training. You know that. It doesn't matter what channel you're on. You bring, oh, my forensic training. Everything I say is golden because I have forensic training. I'm telling you, it's an easy shot through the window, okay? You can say whatever the hell you want. I don't agree with you, okay? All right. I mean, it's like every freaking channel you're on. Oh, hey, everybody, I've got the forensic training. Okay, great. That's awesome. I tell you what, create a channel and tell us all your theories on your forensic trainings, okay? I'd love to see it, Michelle. It'd be awesome. We'd all just go over and just be like, wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Here's what I'll tell you guys to do. Drive your vehicle, just like I said, hold onto the wheel, and just look out the right and see the shot. Not hard at all. If you have any training whatsoever with a gun. Now, if you've never shot one before, okay, yes, that'd be difficult. Now, it's not moving at all, though, Denise. That's the thing. You're moving together at the same rate. See, that's what you guys aren't getting, is you're actually moving together. You're driving at the same pace. It's not like this car was zipping by and you had to shoot. Right, you'd have to look away for like 2 seconds. Aim, fire, get moving. And she'd be about 10 feet away. Go look at it. Yeah, we just don't get it, man. We always have to. It's always the forensic people that are going to know the answer. The rest of us are just schmucks. We don't know what we're talking about. Right. She's driving at the same speed. There isn't a moving target. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just very little motion at all. Again, tomorrow when you're driving on the freeway, I know you're going to try this. Drive next to a vehicle and... how about this? Don't raise your hand all the way, but just see how simple it is. They're only like 10 feet away, too. What happened, Woods Girl? What happened? Yeah, it's 10 feet away. Simple shot. Right. That's right. If you can text, you can shoot. That's hilarious. Right. I mean, we don't know if they had laser sight. I mean, if you have any training at all, 10-foot shot, it's nothing. Yeah, well, hold on. I've made a bunch of videos on this one. You gonna go to the range and try it, Rachel? You gonna give it a whirl? Yeah, it happened. I think this is what I believe. I think the husband is 100% involved in whatever happened. But it sounds like he might have an alibi of where he was. So I think he would have had possibly had somebody else do it. Okay? Because the odds, again, are so low that all of a sudden there's going to be a again, she was escaping for her life, and then just by some miracle she's killed by a random person. The odds of that are so low. I don't have the actual mathematical calculation. Yeah, maybe a military buddy, someone with a gun. Might want to check to see if there was any large amounts of cash taken out of his account or any. But, they have a brotherhood too, so who knows how that would work. Yeah, you guys go back and listen to some of the earlier videos because I interviewed friends and I think some family members. At least friends, for sure. I think a couple of them are actually set to private. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what we were wondering too early on, was whether or not they put a tracker on there. And then gave that information to whoever was following. Yeah. The thing is, I don't actually think we need to ask anybody in forensics at all about the shot. Just go do it yourself. Pretend when you're driving, and look how smooth it is. You're on a long, straight freeway. The car that you're shooting into is not moving. It's late at night. You're pulling up right next to him. You stay parallel. You roll down the window, and then just boom. There's no motion at all. It's kind of easy. All right. Now you go, well, have you ever done that shot? No. But just look at it. Like, attempt it yourself, but don't put your hand all the way up to freak somebody out. Just kind of start raising it and go, wow, no doubt. Look how close that person is. Yeah, well, I don't know about the plane. I know, on the phone with her sister. Crazy, huh? Yeah, I asked her mom. I actually messaged with her mom ever so often on Facebook, and I would like to talk to her, the sister. I'm just responding to who's ever commenting. All right. I mean, here's what you'll never get a good response if I say, hey, yeah, no, you could do it. And then you get, well, I've been in for 28 years. So you're wrong. I'm not going to listen to a damn thing you say ever again on that topic, okay? It's not going to work, okay? Because a real forensic person wouldn't say that. They'd probably email me and say, hey, listen, here's the deal. This is what the deal is. But there isn't a way to do it. There isn't. It's just so simple. Go try it on your own. I want to hear the reports tomorrow. Find a straightaway on a freeway. Hold the steering wheel with your left hand. Now, if there was even now let's say there's a passenger in the hit vehicle too. Well, hell, that's a 4-foot shot. That'd be simple, wouldn't it? No, Denise, that's not right, idiot. That's not what's going on. All right. Yeah, got another one of these trolls. Got to get rid of them. See you later. Yeah. Nope, not always right. As a matter of fact, there's somebody who I actually was in here that I thought, okay, and made a reasonable comment. Well, what about this? I would make sense. But to just throw out, oh, you'd have to be highly trained and military to be able to make that shot. I totally disagree, and I am right on that one. Okay? You don't need, if you just had some gun training and you knew how to hold it, that would work. I know, Jack. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like it's simple as hell, and you got these people that want to make it into this big dramatic thing, make it a lot harder because it's cooler that way. It makes the story more interesting. Oh my God, it's got to be. No. Yeah, well, I mean, I know I don't have any ill will. Okay, that's the thing, is I don't have ill will. I just, when I know something, when somebody says something and I just know it's not accurate, I'm going to say something. Okay? You don't need years of military training to make a 10-foot shot in a non-moving target. Okay? And when I say non-moving, it's relativity, right? The vehicle that you're driving next to is moving with you. So it's not really moving to you. Now, as soon as you shoot the bullet and it exits the window, it'll slightly go back a little bit because of wind resistance. There'll be whatever speed you're traveling, and if there's no and the wind is stagnant. So if you're going 60 miles an hour, as soon as the bullet leaves your car, it's now hit with 60 mile an hour wind for that. I don't know, 4-foot drive to the next car. Okay, that's it. Now that'll slow it down slightly, but it's such a close shot that it wouldn't move it that much. So let's say you aimed at their temple, you might slightly go back a little bit, and there's going to be a little joscillation in your speed compared to theirs. But if you just move up and you're right steady with them, it's not going to be hard. All right. It should be common sense, but sometimes it's not. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing is I don't really, I'm glad that some of you get what I'm saying, and maybe some of you just totally disagree. That's great, but I don't need to hear credentials, how all of a sudden the credentials make it true. Okay, because that's not factual. Give me show me a study where somebody driving 10 feet away in a car that's driving the same pace, and it says how hard it would be. It's like a 1 in 20 shot for an average person. Right, you can't dodge a bullet from 10 feet away. That's right. That's right. I remember that. Then the car goes off to the side of the road, and then the police get there, and they thought it was an accident, but then they saw that she was killed, and their kids were in the car with her. So the whole time, waiting for police to get there and everything, their mother's dead in the front seat. It's horrible. So, anyways, I don't really have much more to discuss tonight. Anyways, do you guys have anything? Yeah, she's shot behind the left ear. I don't know where it exited, though. But, of course, the left ear means it came out from, I guess technically it's possible that a miraculous shot from the other direction but that would be 1 in a million. One in more than that even. To be driving the opposite direction, so now you have to combine. You're going 60 miles an hour. They're going 60 miles an hour. So that means the combined relativity would be 120 miles an hour. And from the other lane, and to fire through a window and hit her in the head would be 1 in a million. This, yeah, it totally feels like a hit. This is from the side through the driver's window. At least that's what there was somebody who dressed her up for the funeral or viewing, and they told the person that I talked to that the bullet wound was behind the left ear. That's the only reason we know that information. Yeah, I don't know. What about that one, Cairo? Can you spoof? It wouldn't be a phone record. It'd be ping information. Is there a way? I guess you could leave your phone in an area. But how would he? I guess he actually answered the phone at some point, and then that phone pinged at a time where he couldn't be there if he was the shooter. So that was the problem. So maybe Cairo, why don't you call in, Cairo, and you can, let me get the number out, and you can explain, I don't know if you know how, you should probably know ping information, right? I've got to get a meeting set up, though. Hold on. And there you go. There's the number right there. Well, I'm just saying, we're talking about ping information. Can you spoof ping information? Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to know. I think the hairdresser for the funeral would have seen a bullet in the forehead had it been at an angle, or out the right front. So it sounds like it was pretty perpendicular. And who knows if she turned her head at the last second? Whatever, right? We don't know that part. Yeah, seems like it was well planned. Bunch of arrests for menacing tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Is there some kind of weirdness going on? Yeah, we need to know where the exit wound is to get a trajectory. However, we don't know exactly the position of her head. Was it slightly turned to the left? Was it slightly turned to the right? You know, that's one of those things. You can just assume that it was looking straight forward, I guess, but I guess there's really no way of knowing that. Hold on a second. Oops. 304, you're on the air. Hello.
Hey, what's going on? Hey.
What's up?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Told me to call. I was paying like half attention.
Oh, they were just saying that the ping information. They were talking about can you spoof that kind of stuff? Like, is there any way that you can think of where he could be in two places at one time digitally, you know?
Probably. I don't know.
Hey, you're a cell phone guy, man. You're supposed to, you have all that info, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to know about the lights on a tower, I got you. But
okay.
I don't really know.
How about this?
Past the light.
You need to look up all the other stuff too, then, because it's so cool, right? Like you go to the towers, and then you'll know all about the pinging information and how that works.
Well, I got a dude at tech support named Cameron. He actually might be watching. He's good people, and he's super smart.
Yeah?
I could totally ask him. Yeah. He knows what he's doing.
So
but
he's
I personally
legit.
Go ahead.
He's legit then. Okay.
Oh, for sure. I personally have been so sick for like 2 days.
Yeah.
So I medicated myself this evening with gin, so I'm no help for anyone right now.
Well, how are you feeling, by the way? It didn't get any better? Jeez.
No, I mean, I can drive, so I'm good to go.
Just not with all the gin in you. Okay, good.
No, I would never do that. But no, I mean, like, I felt like crap for like a month. And I went to the hospital because I didn't feel like I could even drive, but I feel better now, but I still feel like crap. So I don't know. I'm gonna be home next week, and I'm gonna see my doctor. So
yeah,
good.
You should do it. Everybody, pray for Cairo. Everybody, let's make sure he's healthy.
Yes.
All right.
Hopefully, I'll be good. I think I'm cool.
Yeah.
So we're good to go. But great show. I'm glad to hear that you're a Union fan these days. That's what's up.
Oh yeah, they became my second favorite team real quick. It was weird.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. They can be your first favorite East Coast team.
There you go. Right.
There you go. And my favorite West Coast team is the
LA Galaxy. Well, I don't know if there's any. Yeah, definitely won't be Portland. So why don't you have to like Portland on the West Coast? Okay. I did see your comment that said nobody likes the Timbers. I saw that one. Okay.
Well, no, it's just that, I mean, not to throw numbers out here, not to get into sports, but currently I believe the Union is number 2 in the East Conference and the Timbers number 7. So at least you like one winning team.
Yeah. I guess what the person want to know is, well, the Timbers are what place is the Union? What are they in?
Number 2.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we're in the playoff picture, but we keep losing these home games. Because here's the crazy part about the Timbers: the beginning of the season they played, I think, 12 road games in a row because there was construction going on. So now they have all these home games, but they've lost a couple of them. So they're right on the edge of the playoffs, but we'll see.
You know what? Portland and construction? That sounds about right. There's always construction in Portland.
Yeah.
So.
I guess so.
On the roads, at least. I don't know everywhere else, but the roads, at least.
Does seem like there's quite a bit.
I apologize that I can be of no more help. But
right.
hey, you said to call, I called. Whatever.
Well, thanks for calling in, and thanks for the super chat, because and you got your little cat eyes. This this channel, for some, I don't know what the deal is now, but true crime, all of our videos don't have very few. I'd say like 90% are not ad friendly or something. So basically, it's all you guys that support the channel. So you specifically,
Maybe
you help out a lot. Thank you.
No worries. Hey, everybody hit that like button.
Hit that like button. I don't have the audio for it.
All right.
All right, man.
It's cool.
Hey, I hope you feel better.
I hope that you don't save. I hope you don't save this video because I don't want to have to listen to this phone call.
Oh, you sounded great. You tried really hard to sound cogent, so it was great.
Cool. I'm gonna try hard. All right.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
All right, have a good one.
All
See
right.
ya.
Bye.
Yeah. That was Cairo, everybody. Not feeling well. Not feeling well. Yep, so if anybody else wants to call in, do a Jane Doe, like a DNA Doe project. Let's see what they got over there. I think we covered a lot of these ones. Yeah. I think these ones, hope these, oh, these are the active ones. Let me see. Pending cases. Now, I think we covered this one. Yeah, so many in the works. I think that's probably a real photograph right there, don't you think? Mr. X Doe. Right, but I don't have conspiracy bent. I think they put our entire genre. It's just the way it is. It's crazy. I mean, ask any of them. Even, you can ask people like Stephanie Harlow or Danielle Hallen, Lorden. I mean, they all get. I'm not like them because I don't really make videos anymore. I just do live shows and talk about different cases. So that's probably one of the reasons. Is since I don't have videos, a lot of them are just demonetized for some reason. It's kind of just the way it is. Yeah, let's see. Spoof your location as a subscription service, but leave the phone and forward to a burner. Set that burner to forward to another burner. Yeah. I don't know. He could have done all that, but maybe there's a reason he didn't answer the phone the first time, because they called him and he said, "Oh, I was just sleeping." Really? But if you had a wife and kids driving across country, wouldn't you be awake, kind of worried about him, wondering? But he said, "Oh, I was just sleeping." So maybe he was driving that first time and didn't want that sound to come over the phone. So he pulls over somewhere so it's really quiet, and then he answers the call using that technique that you just mentioned. What's this one here? Oh, yeah. We've started meeting. We have our second meeting this Friday. I know about that case because I was working with Sheila on it, and I even made a 3D model of the whole bathroom and everything in the Christian and Dracchio case, but I didn't. I thought her presentation was Friday, but it was actually Thursday, and CrimeCon didn't really start till Friday, so I just wasn't able to do it. But I don't know, that one seems pretty weird. The way the people act and bathroom look, the spatter on the left wall going in, it doesn't really match up at all with where the gunshot would have had to have come from. It's pretty weird, the whole thing. Yes, everyone get on the highway and start reenacting. Let's see. Well, I think tomorrow I'll probably go. Maybe I will do some Jane Doe. Look up some of those tomorrow. Unsolved cases. But I have a lot of fun looking at the old cases. I mean, I don't know what it was, but that one, what the hell's his name again? I was able to talk about it earlier, but the case of Walter R. Ellison, his last name doesn't pop into my head, but from 1939, that one was really interesting to me. Now you sounded good, Cairo. One of your best calls you ever had. Maybe you need to be sick and on medication more often. Yeah. All right, well, I think I'm just going to end the show. I'm tired, and it's just... I don't really have much more to talk about this. No, you did. You sounded good, Cairo. There wasn't any slurring or anything. I just don't have much more to contribute. All right. So, thank you to Cairo, the lone super chat. Thankfully, it was a good one. And what do we got on the... Yeah, okay, good. Then I got a couple emails. Yep. Hey, good night. So, where do you guys want to do a flyby tonight? To Scotland. Yeah, it's always cool over there. Scotland. It's cool, man. Hey, Lynn, what's going on, Lynn? Lynn G. I got a different map on that. Yeah, right there. One more time. No thanks, CG3. No thanks. Debunk my video so that you'll mention my channel and everybody will go there. So what I do is I create bullshit so that people will want me to, you'll debunk it and then they'll go to my channel. Yay! Hey, Pink Lady Luck! Hey, let me show you guys this thing. So you can actually do, where is it? Oh, right here. The moon, right? See that? Oh, but look at that. Where the heck is it? Oh yeah, look at that. It puts the freaking pins from Earth onto the moon. I mean, why would it even do that? It should just turn it off at that point. Whee! Bang! All right, everybody. Thank you all for showing up. I think it's weird that Google Earth would put the same pins on the moon in the same relative position. But yes, thank you all for showing up tonight. Sorry for the arguments. I have no ill will towards anybody. It's just I don't agree when somebody says that a shot like that would need expert marksmanship from 10 feet away, right? In two vehicles that are moving simultaneously together at the same pace. I would agree if you were driving by and you were in a still position, you'd have to be a incredible marksman to make that shot. Okay? Like if the car was driving 60 miles an hour and you had to time it and shoot through that window, yes, you'd have to be one of the world's best probably. But shooting through a window with a pistol at a car that's driving your same pace, don't see it. Don't see it at all. I'm sure you can get some buddies that'll. Oh yeah. It's yeah. Yes, blue's awesome. All right, everybody, that's it for the show tonight. Thank you all for showing up and contributing when you can to support the channel. That is the. That's just kind of how I keep things going. All right, everybody. So that's it. And as I always say, until next time, everybody, be safe out there.